Now we are going to talk about the pollen pistil interaction. The name itself suggests that there is an interaction between the pollen grains and the pistil. But the first part of the pistil, that is a stigma, then comes style, and then comes the ovary. So the first part of interaction, that is of pistil with pollen grains, is the stigma. So pollen grains, after dehiscence, that is breaking open from the anther, get deposited on the stigma, and that actually interaction called as a pollen pistil interaction. So let's study in detail what is that. It is the interaction of the pollen grains with a sporophytic tissue, that is the stigma. See, stigma contains the mucilase, that's why it's a sticky in nature. Okay, it begins with the pollination and ends with the fertilization. This is a process which is start with the pollination and ends with the fertilization. So pollen pistil interaction is the process which include the pollination is the first step. There is an intermediate step that going to study in detail, and the last, that is the development. Intermediate will be about development of the things which is come across, and the last one is a fertilization. All the events from the deposition of the pollen grains on the stigma to the entry of the pollen tube in the ovule, that is synergids we are going to talk about, are referred as a pollen pistil interaction. Why there is a mention word synergids? Because we in earlier lecture we have understand that synergids have a filiform apparatus, hair-like structure or hair-like projection, which guides the pollen tube after entering or after piercing the ovary structure. So filiform apparatus of the synergids actually guides the pollen tube to enter into the or fertilize the egg cell. Where is the egg cell is present, which is guided by the synergid. That's why there is a word synergid is mentioned. So are referred as a pollen pistil interaction. Pollination does not guarantee the transfer. You have to underline this very well. What's that? See, pollination does not guarantee the transfer of the right pollen tube. Pollen, often wrong type, also land on the stigma. Sometimes what happens? See, what kind of quality of the pollen grains is not dependable, correct? So what happens in this case, on the stigma, variety of the pollen tube, variety of the pollen grains get deposited. But what is the problem right now here? With what is compatible, what is incompatible, we don't know. So this is the mechanism where pollen pistil interaction takes place, which plays important role. One which is a liable, which is a, see, plant required a वेरिएशंस, प्लांट्स को वेरिएशन चाहिए तो पोलन ग्रेन्स भी कैसे चाहिए, प्रॉपर चाहिए. तो ये मैकेनिज्म है जो पोलन ग्रेन्स इंटरेक्शन करते हैं इस मैकेनिज्म में. सो दे कैन बी filter out by the mechanism. Let's study how it filter out. The pistil has the ability to recognize and accept the right or compatible. तो pistil के पास क्या ability है to recognize and accept the right or compatible pollen of the same species. Thus, wrong type of the pollen is discarded by the pistil. So wrong type of pollen can be discarded. Compatibility, I'm moving in the next part. Compatibility and the incompatibility of the pollen pistil is determined by the special protein. They possess a special protein which understand or recognize which is compatible, which is not compatible. This process involves pollen recognition followed by the promotion or inhibition of the pollen. So this is the mechanism in which some pollen undergo the fertilization, some pollen are discarded. Why they are discarded? Because they don't have a proper ability to germinate. So the stigmatic surface of a flower refuse other wrong type of incompatible pollen grain. That is the first line I'm reading. A physiological mechanism operates to ensure that only intraspecific pollen. What is intraspecific? See, on one species, we have heard about or we have learned about in a pollination process, self-pollination, cross-pollination. See, cross-pollination enables for the variation, and the self-pollination not enables the variation. So here the that part is considerable here. What's that? The compatible pollen absorb the water and nutrients from the surface of the stigma. So whenever the pollen grains get deposited on the stigma, they absorb the water and nutrients from the surface of the stigma, which further leads to germinates and produces the pollen tube. Its growth through the style is determined by the specific chemicals. Okay, so that has to be go from the style. Whatever happens is that has to be get from the style. So once the deposition takes place, so we can understand that here like this. If this is a this is a structure. If the pollen get deposited over here, then it has to be traveled. So if suppose this is a pollen grain get nutrition proper here, then it forms a pollen tube. Ovule is here, then it has to be penetrated into the ovule. So this is the process. So this is called actually what? Pollen and pistil interactions. Okay, so let's study further. The compatible pollen absorb the water and nutrition and then form the pollen tube that has to be transferred from the style is determined by the specific chemist. The stigmatic surface provides the essential prerequisite for the successful germination. तो for germination के लिए जो चाहिए वो कहाँ से मिलेगा उसको? Stigma. तो stigma is even though known as a sticky material, but it do contains the some requirements or the you can say nutrition for the germination of the pollen grains, which leads to the formation of pollen tube. That pollen tube carries the male gametophyte along with the big nucleus, which start piercing or start going towards the egg cell with the help of filiform apparatus, that is synergids. So this is the whole process. Okay, let's go the further. The stigmatic surface provides the essential prerequisite. We have just understood that. See, the pollen tube is finally pushed through the ovule and reaches the embryo sac. We understand that embryo sac. What is embryo sac? See, suppose I am drawing diagram again. If this is a pollen grain that form the pollen tube like this, here is the ovule present, here is the egg cell, and here is the synergids present. Then this has to be pierced like this and has to be go into to the egg cell. So fusion of the egg cell should be happen over there. So what happen is, due to the pollen pistil interaction, intense competition develop even in the compatible pollen grains, that is gamete. So pollen grains do possess the male gametophyte. See, male gametophyte has the ability to get fused with the what? The egg cell. But those who don't have a ability, that is incompatible, that has to be discarded. So on the stigmatic level only they get discarded. So pollen pistil interaction is very, very important. Now one more point you have to understand, that while transferring from the style, some changes occur because the pollen tube has to be carry with itself one pollen tube nucleus along with the male gametophyte. Two male gametophytes are there. They has to be transferred from the pollen tube to the embryo sac. That you have to understand very well. Okay. So the last point of this is that it also plays important role. So what are the importance? Let's study this. It also plays important role in the sexual reproduction and the seed formation. So pollen pistil interaction is very, very important in the sexual reproduction and the seed formation. Pollen grains can also induce to germinate in a synthetic medium. So जो pollen grains है हम लोग उनको synthetically भी क्या कर सकते हैं? Germinate कर सकते हैं. Sucrose, underline that word, it can be asked in MCQs. Sucrose induce pollen germination and the tube growth in vitro. Addition of the boric acid facilitates and accelerates the pollen germination. So these are the artificially we can do that. What is the one? Sucrose. So stigmatic condition में क्या हो सकता है? Sucrose और mucilage हो सकता है. So we can use here sucrose as an artificial mechanism, and the boric acid. Addition of boric acid what? Enhance or facilitate or accelerate the pollen germination and the pollen tube forms very well. So this is the very importance of what we have studied is that. This is a very important what we have studied is that pollen pistil interactions. This is a point we have to understand very well. So let's consider some important point in the pollen pistil interactions. Now the next topic is that artificial hybridization. You can understand that the word is artificial means what? We are provoking some changes into that. So hybridization means what? The change is something. So it is one of the major approach used in the crop improvement. This is used in a crop improvement. Definitely we want a better yield and the quality we want, quantity as well we want. So we are doing some artificial hybridization over here with the help of this. What's that? Only the desired characteristics. See, we have to focus on the desired characteristics. So we have to understand that only the desired characteristics of the pollen grains are handed, pollinated and used for the fertilization. So what are you going to talking about that? See, we have studied the natural phenomena, that is the pollen pistil interaction, where the pollen which are not compatible, called as the incompatible, are restricted, okay, over there, and only the quality is maintained for that purpose. So only the pollen grains which are compatible are going to germinate further. So same mechanism you are using here, that is the which are the desired pollen grains are hand pollinated. Okay, so this is accomplished through the emasculation and the bagging procedure. So it is emasculation and the bagging procedure. We study in detail what's that actually emasculation and the bagging procedure. I will make a short video on that as well. About the two methods, emasculated and the bagging in an artificial hybridization process. So let's study in detail what is that actually. Okay, so when you talk about the emasculation, that means what? A female flower can be artificially pollinated. So can I say it's a hand whichever the desired pollen grains are there. By artificially means they are transferred to the female flower by a desired pollen grains only. So in emasculation method, only the desired pollen grains are allowed to transfer to what female flower. That's called emasculation method. When you move to the process called a bagging, the name itself suggests that bagging means what? A use of the bag here. So flower is enclosed. Flower has to be enclosed. Why flower has to be enclosed? It should not get a unwanted pollen grain from the outside. If you pack it and close it with the help of bag, then what you are avoiding by the simple means, you are avoiding the unwanted pollen grains to enter into that flower. So flower is enclosed in the bag to avoid a pollination by the unwanted pollen. So these are the two mechanism or two types process in the artificial hybridization use, emasculation and the bagging, simply to avoid other pollen grains which are not desired, then only it transfers. So what this process ensures that only the desired pollen grain should enter to the female flower and the further germination starts. So this is the only process we can study, that is artificial hybridization method. Okay, so before we going ahead, we should understand this, whatever the diagrams are given below here, that is, see, you can see that black lines going, or that is the pollen tube actually. The different I mean A, B, C, three types of the types are given over there. So first type, it's called porogamy. See, you must aware about the micropyle, which is actually the chalazal end. So if I draw the structure of the embryo sac like this, so this is a micropyle, this is a chalazal end, and this is a micropyle over here. If the pollen tube enters from the micropyle, it's called as a porogamy. If the pollen tube piercing from the chalazal end, it's called chalazogamy. And if none of the use this, not from the micropyle, not from the chalazal, it's intersect or it pierces from the middle part of this, it's called mesogamy. So these are the three different routes how the pollen tube pierce. First is what? From the micropylar end, second is chalazal end, and third is one mesogamy from the middle part of that. Pollen tube can pierce. So these are the three different varieties and the parts we have to study. Okay. The next important topic is double fertilization. The name itself suggests that the fertilization occurs how many times? Two times. That is called double fertilization. And at what stages it occurs, let's discover that and have to understand very clear. Say, double fertilization is a complex fertilization. It has to be complex. Okay. Mechanism in a flowering, that is angiospermic plants. Flower is called angiospermic plants. It was discovered by the Nostin in the liliaceous plant like Lilium and the Fritillaria. So it get discovered in the liliaceous plant like Lilium and the Fritillaria. So after a pollen grain has reached the surface of the stigma, or we can say simply means pollen that is from the anther get deposited on the sticky surface, that is the stigma, it starts germinating because it's get nutrition from the stigma. What we understand that mucilage structure over there, okay, and forms a pollen tube which penetrates the stigma. It penetrates the stigma and it travels through the style and reaches the ovary chamber and then enters the ovule. So the growth of the pollen tube is guided by the chemicals secreted by the synergids. We have consider this point so many times that synergids, see, in the chalazal end and the micropylar end. At the micropylar end, there is a egg cell, three cells are there. In between two cells, there is egg cell, and the egg cell is guarded by the synergids having the filiform apparatus. This filiform apparatus is responsible for giving the guidance to the pollen tube after entering or after piercing the embryo sac to reach to the egg cell. So they secrete some chemicals, and that is what we are going to study here. So it usually enters the ovule through the micropylar end. So we have studied three parts. Okay, what that three parts? We can repeat over here. These three parts are like here. Okay, what are the three parts are there? Porogamy, chalazogamy, and that is a mesogamy. So which is a majority part or majority path followed by the pollen tube is a porogamy. From the micropylar end actually it ends. These two paths are also followed by the pollen tube to enter or to fuse the egg cell, but the majority is by the porogamy. Okay, so let's go ahead. It is termed as a porogamy, but in some cases it is found to enter through the chalaza, known as the chalazogamy, and in some plants by the piercing the integument. What do you mean by piercing? उसको break open करके वो अंदर चला जाएगा. That is called piercing the integuments. What are the integuments? The supportive parts or the say protection parts. There are two types: inner integuments and outer integuments. Okay, called a mesogamy. So whenever there is a piercing from the integument, it's called mesogamy. Finally, it penetrates embryo sac of ovule through its micropylar end. Let's move ahead. What's that written over there is like the pollen tube carrying the male gametes penetrates in one of the synergids. The pollen tube which carry what male gamete penetrates one of the synergids. दो synergids से एक synergid को क्या करता है वो penetrate करता है. Watery content of synergids are absorbed by the pollen tube. While penetrating from the synergids, the pollen tube absorbs the watery content from the synergid, which then ruptures and releases the content, including the two non-motile male gametes. So, how can you understand this? By simply method is that once from the stigma, the pollen grains form a pollen tube, which starts reaching. Suppose this is the ovule, reaching to one of the synergids having a filiform apparatus. When it reaches to what synergid, it actually bursts open with the absorption of the water content. What happened that then it start, see this carry what two male gametophytes which are what non-motile and one pollen tube nucleus. This male gametophyte release into embryo sac over here. Okay, what happened next is called, so as non-motile male gametes are carried through the hollow pollen tube, it is known as a siphonogamy. We have to understand what is a siphonogamy. Carrying out of the non-motile male gametes through the hollow structure of the pollen tube, it's called siphonogamy, that ensures fertilization to take place. Which ensure what? Fertilization should take place with the egg cell. Syngamy and the triple fusion are the two events of the sexual reproduction in the angiospermic for all plants. So what happens? See, double fertilization name itself suggests that fertilization occur two times. And what's that? Syngamy and triple fusion. We have to study in detail what's that. Okay, so see, haploid male gamete with a haploid female gamete. We understand that microsporangenesis and a megasporangenesis. There is no problem with microsporangenesis because pollen grains are haploid N. But in case of the megasporangenesis, that is a diploid cell which undergo meiosis, form a haploid cell, and then it further forms this. So we have to consider now both are male and female are what haploid right now. So haploid male gamete with a haploid female gamete, that is egg, to produce a diploid zygote. So one male gamete will be react with what or confuse with what egg cell to form a diploid zygote over here. Whereas in the triple fusion, what is the triple fusion? Let's see. Second haploid male gamete fuses with a diploid secondary nucleus, producing what is secondary nucleus? See, we have seen that it encloses, whole ovary encloses the embryo sac, and that embryo sac has a nucleus at the center. There are two pollen nucleus are there that we are talking about. So one male gamete and two already present. So how many there nucleus now? 3. That is called triple fusion. So that secondary nucleus producing the primary endosperm nucleus that produces the PEN, that is primary endosperm nucleus, that develops into the triploid endosperm. So what is that? Syngamy and triple fusion are the parts of the double fertilization. The zygote develops into an embryo. Syngamy is the type of generative fertilization, whereas triple, what is generative? Syngamy. When you talk about the syngamy, that is what? One male gamete reacting with the egg cell to form a zygote. That is called generative fertilization. Seed is going to form. Whereas triple fusion, what is triple fusion? Where the formation of PEN primary endospermic nucleus, which leads to formation of the triple endosperm. Now, whereas triple fusion is a type of vegetative fertilization. There is no involvement of male gamete, female gamete. That is why they call as a vegetative fertilization. So out of double fertilization, one is a, we can say, a syngamy where male and female gametes are involved. One is vegetative where male and female gametes are not involved. So here both the male gametes participate, and how you can say that both the male gametes are participating? Because one get fused with the egg cell, another gets fused with the secondary nucleus, form the PEN, and ultimately from the triple endosperm. So it is described as a double fertilization. This is the most likely asked question about. Write a short note on double fertilization or why it's called double fertilization. We have to explain the syngamy and the triple fusion as well. So we have to understand this very well. Now see, a diagram include that a stigma where pollen grains get deposited. It starts a pollen tube from the micropyral end is entering. It's called, now it's entering from what? Micropylar end. So it's called porogamy. Once it enters, there is a written word syngamy. What is that? Egg plus male gamete is called syngamy. Then triple fusion is, what is that? Triple fusion, secondary nucleus plus the male gamete. So pollen tube carries two male non-motile male gamete, one of which fuses with the egg cell, form the syngamy or leads to formation of the syngamy. Another with the secondary nucleus and that male gamete is called the triple fusion. So that's why it's called double fertilization. Diagram is very important over here. Okay. Now let's study why it is significant, why it's so characteristic. So when you talk about the significance of the double fertilization, it is a unique feature of an angiosperm. It is a unique or identifying feature in the angiosperm. It ensures that the parent plant invests a seed with a food store only if the egg cell is fertilized. So what happened in double fertilization? See, seed formed by male gamete and female gamete. After that, seed will be formed. But seed required a food or food reservoir. Who is going to take responsibility of that? That is a triple fusion. So here it's unremarkably written over here is that parent plant invests a seed with a food store only if the egg is fertilized. Only. So what is that clear feature is that only egg is fertilized, then only it forms the food reservoir. Otherwise it will not form. Second, the diploid zygote develops into an embryo which consequently develops into a new plant. So there are many steps we are going to study in later on. So what's that? Double fertilization ensures that the zygote will develop into the consequent steps into new plant, and for the production of new plant or the growth of the cell required, and for the growth of the cell what we require and what they require is nutrition provided by what? So whole care is taken in the form of what? Food reservoir. So double fertilization is very, very important, and the first point is very important, unique feature of angiosperm, and only if egg is fertilized then only it's going to happen. Okay, so we have to consider this point. When you talk about the third significance that comes into mind is what? The triploid, that is PEN. PEN stands for primary endospermic nucleus. You have to understand it or clear it. Okay, develops into the nutritive endosperm tissue. Here we are going to talk about, if suppose a mango seed is in between, whatever the mango pulp you are eating is nothing but what? A triploid PEN which develops into the nutritive endosperm tissue. So plant produce a nutrition not for us. Actually it's act like a food reservoir for that seed. Okay, so fourth point we are going to talk about that it restores the diploid condition by fusion of haploid male gamete which haploid female gamete, that is a true syngamy. Here is a point very considerable. See, there is a production of the two male gamete. One of the male gamete is going to fuse with a egg, female egg, that is female egg earlier was, see, it has to be undergo from the megasporongenesis, then only it going to happen a haploid cell, otherwise there will be a problem. Starting cell was diploid, we understand, it undergo meiosis, form a tetrad, linear tetrad, and from that linear tetrad only one cell is going to form a egg cell. That is why maintenance of the haplodicity is maintained. But after the fertilization, N and N, male and female, when they combine, diploidicity is maintained. So double fertilization ensure what? This is very very important point, that ensures the diploicity through the syngamy. That is important. And the last point, it also helps to avoid the polyembryony. What is polyembryony? Only one egg cell, only one male gamete, only one seed will be there. So it ensures that there will be no formation of polyembryo gamete. So these are the important characteristics of the double fertilization we have to understand.